I called 911. I explained what was going on, but we took 3 under 3 to my house. When I got home, my husband was watching, sport, and he's like, "Why are you bringing 3 little kids to our house?" He's like, "Don't get involved."
I've seen a lot of crazy things, but that one, thankfully, I've never had to encounter anything like that. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Estate Show. I'm Tiffany Weber, a real estate attorney in North Carolina at Thomas & Weber with 2 locations, one in Mooresville and one in Huntersville, North Carolina. And today I am so excited about our guest. She is an amazing agent in our area. Thank you so much, Claudia Ogrizik, for joining us today. How are you doing today?
I am great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
We talked a little bit before we got on camera about how green is your color.
Yes.
And the background, it just works.
I didn't come here because of the background, but yes, green is my color. It became my marketing. It happened by accident.
Yep.
And I'm here for it.
Yeah, I am too. I'm a big fan. So I want to ask, really, how did you get into real estate? Because this is not what you started out doing, right?
No. Well, in Brazil, I was a finance manager. Money is a thing I enjoy and I understand. And in Brazil, I used to buy and flip for fun. I just thought it was interesting. And I remember, because in Brazil, you only have the listing agent. So buyers, which I think it's crazy, buyers don't have representation. Yes.
That's scary.
And every time, so it was always me, what I say, against listing agents. But I am good at negotiating. This is what I did in my job. And at every transaction, the listing agent would ask me, "Have you ever thought about becoming a realtor?" And I had a nice job, but I'm like, no. Thank you. So I moved here. I kept my job in Brazil for a long time. Then once I got the green card and the work permit, I started working at a gym, and I'm like, no, I know I can do better. I know I deserve more. And at that time, we were looking for a house, and we had an agent, and it was not good. I was super confused, and I'm like, what's happening
And
here?
you're not a novice. So for you to
Exactly.
be confused in a process that you have completed on your own multiple times is kind of a testament to the
Yes.
difference in caliber of the real estate
Exactly.
agents.
And in my mind, I'm like, look, I know he's making money. I know he sells many houses. I can do this. If he can do it, I know I'll be way better than this. And that's how I decided to become a realtor.
I love that. And, something you said about, seeing someone that's doing the job that you can do a better job than them at it. Sometimes I've talked to myself about being an attorney in the past, because when I first started law school, I was like, this is going to be am I really cut out for this? Am I smart enough for this? I believed I was, but then when I started seeing practicing attorneys, I'm like, they passed the bar. I got this. I can do this. Yeah.
And I still do. I've been very lucky. I would say most of my transactions were at least good. But some have been no.
Yeah.
So I'm happy I'm here. And I think it shows because my clients come back to me, they refer me. I think 90%, 95% of my business comes from former clients and referrals. So
It's amazing.
I think I'm doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you have clients that are so satisfied with you that they keep coming back, or they, when they get a whiff that their friend or a relative is buying a home, and they're like, no, you have to work with Claudia. This is what you have to do.
Yeah.
And, something that I find interesting is that you had a really good 2023, and 2023 was not an easy year at all. So what do you think it was the referrals? What do you think it was that helped you? I mean, aside from your skills, obviously, but the market itself does play a factor in it, and you still had a good year. So what do you think made that happen?
My best year yet. I mean, 2024, unless something crazy happens, it will be way better. And it's funny you asked, because I've had so many agents that I know come to me during the year and now asking me how I did it. And I joke, I always say I am the uncoachable realtor. I don't do pretty much anything that any real estate coach tells realtors to do. And yes, referral was a big thing, but I am obsessed, and maybe because of my finance background, I am obsessed about talking to clients and really teaching, and so they understand the finance, the financial part of it, the advantages, the pros and cons of everything. So I think because, and the lenders I refer to, they say, "Oh my God, I wish every client came to you," because they come and they are ready. They know what's going on. They understand way better than average.
You almost put them through like a little boot camp of.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, if you're going to work with me, you're going to know your stuff.
And I think, and maybe again, finance background and maybe the experience I had, because I remember we gave up, honestly. Back then, we're like, okay, I don't think we can ever buy a house. And this was something like, okay, this is not okay. I know we can. So why didn't it happen? So because of my experience, I said, no, I have to show people how to do it or find different avenues to get ready, even if you're not ready, because some people, when they try, they're not ready, but I am there holding their hand. I'm like, look, we're going to get you ready.
Yeah.
And I think the educational part of what I do when I work with people makes a huge difference.
We completely agree with you on the education stuff. And when you said, kind of joking about being the uncoachable real estate agent, you're maybe not, that might have a negative connotation to some people, but the way I see it is kind of how we've approached the law, in that if the other law firms are doing it, we're basically going to try to do the opposite, because standing out, but two, why do we have to do it the same way as everybody else? Like, if the conventional wisdom is you have to be in your Grace 2-piece suit, sitting behind the mahogany desk in the very scary setting where people don't feel comfortable to ask questions and where you're charging out the wazoo per hour, that's not how we wanted to do it. So as you can see, not wearing the gray 2-piece suit, we're putting out educational videos. So I can completely get behind where you're coming from with, no, I'm going to do it my way, And also, if everybody's getting the same coaching to do all the same things, how do you stand out? Yeah. And you stand out. That's one thing that you're exceptionally good at.
One of the things I don't do, which is crazy for most, I don't have a CRM.
Okay.
So I don't put any client ever on a drip campaign. I don't have any reminders or nothing.
Yeah.
And I talk to my client, so they know that when I'm talking to them, it's me talking to them. So each client, and I mean, it's, again, organic. I think of my clients. I remember my clients. The same way now when people see like a green dress and they text me the dress, I think of my clients, each one of them. And it's a natural thing when I do. And I tell everyone else, all the agents that ask me what's my, my
secret sauce.
Yes, because many do. I say, look, I do care for real. I am honest and real, and and oh my God, now I forgot why. Just give me a second.
Oh, that's okay.
No CRM. What's my secret? Oh my God.
Well, we were talking about how you don't put them on a drip campaign, and you're the one that's actually remembering to reach out to them, which is quite a feat, because you're not doing an insignificant number of transactions, and you're not brand new. So it's to have a catalog in that sense of your past clients, and to be able to think of them without having some system telling you to do that. That's really impressive. I think about like law firms, we're required to keep databases of our clients for other reasons, but we don't necessarily use it to be like, hey, happy birthday, but in what you do, it's incredibly common. And for some people, if they're going to keep in contact, they really need that. But it's kind of wild that you're able to do it without that system.
And now it came to me. I always say, I don't put them on drip campaign. I hate when people put me on drip campaigns. I have so many people that don't even know me, but send me a happy birthday. I'm like, I know you're not thinking about me. And for me, if my clients, my past clients, when they're ready to move, when they hear someone talking about moving, if they don't remember my name, it's not a drip campaign that will make them. So I'm like, if I didn't make an impression on my buyers or my sellers, and they cannot think of me, I failed and I refuse. It's a lesson. Thank God it never happened. But it's a lesson for me. Like, I failed them.
And what can you do differently to make them feel cared for? Yeah, that's a great way to look at that.
Yes.
And also, it's an extreme confidence in your abilities to make people feel special and cared for, and how you treat them during the transaction, that you know that you did such a good job that they're willing to come back to you.
Not only that, and this is something that is extremely strong in me. My clients know that I am thinking about them for real. So I've had clients, for instance, it has happened a few times that they called me and they say, hey, let's say we need to sell the house. I don't bring the CMA, the calculations, the price or anything, and they know it. I go there and I'm like, why?
Why?
And I've had a few situations in which I said, you're not selling. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. Let's talk about it. And, it's been hard to pay off, to pay the mortgage. I'm like, okay, let's see. I'll help you. And I'm not a finance advisor, but I know a lot. So I'm like, let's do this. And they trust me. So I've helped a few clients hold
You're
on
looking
for
at
a
the
while.
whole picture.
Yeah. So I'm not here. I always say I'm not here for the short term. I'm not here just for of course, I make money. Of course, that's my job, but it's not for the money.
Yeah.
So I've had a few times and I say, don't sell it. Next week I have a closing. Both are my repeat clients. A couple, they are buying a house together. And they said, should we sell our house or not? So I'm like, let's sit down and see. And I said, don't sell either. Rent it, make the income. They bought the house when interest rates were 2%, so they will make tons of money. They already have tons of equity. I'm like, you don't have to sell to buy the third house. So create real estate, keep working on your wealth and your future. And they're like, I think you're the only agent that would ever say, don't sell it.
Yeah.
Because I could sell 2 houses and make tons of money. But in their situation, I said, don't do it. Keep the house.
It's taking the role as the fiduciary seriously of this is not the right thing for you, client. And if my job is to be putting your best interest at the forefront, we can't do this.
Yes.
My husband and I, when we bought our first house, he bought it in his name before we got married, and it was a major fixer-upper. And the agent that we worked with is, he's a legend in Cabarrus County, Harold Blackwelder, and he's like been doing this a long time. The house was his mother's at one point, a rental house, needed a ton of love. And he said, now you can buy this house, but if you try to call me in a year to sell it, I'm not going to let you do that. This is going to hold value for you. And then when it's time for you to move, then you're going to rent it. This is a way for you to build your wealth and, build your net worth. And don't call me trying to sell this next year. Like you're going to have this for a while. And he was exactly right. It was an amazing rental for us after we moved out. I think we lived there 2 years and then moved on into a, little bit bigger house, a little bit nicer. And then rented it for a long time. And then when finally it made sense for us to sell it, we called him and he said, okay, we can do that now. Yeah. But, I'm glad you didn't try to call me in a year. So, and that's something that made us trust him implicitly because he was willing to tell us no on something that we were like, great, we're going to, turn this around. We're going to fix it up, live there a year. I'm going to get out of here. And he was willing to tell us, no, you're not doing that. And that it made us trust him so much more. So having had personal experience with someone like that, I completely see why your clients are like, I can't believe you're telling me this, but we will follow you to the ends of the earth.
They know, and I think, and I love that they call me to ask questions, should we do it or not, because they know my answer will be as honest as possible. So I'll never say, hey, yes, let's list it. Let me get, if I don't think it makes sense, I will let them know. And I'm like, hold on, stay in the house, let's figure it out. And I think this is one of the secret sauces. Like I'm thinking about them, not me. And I do know that they will come back to me,
right?
Refer me. It's not it's not that I'm doing it because of that. It's because I want the best for them.
It's the byproduct of how you treat them. It will happen because of you've operated with the highest integrity, keeping their interests at the forefront. And it just is the natural consequences that they'll come back around when it's time or tell people about you. Now, I'm curious, you've served a lot of clients and it seems like you get to know them really well and care for them. What has been your favorite transaction so far?
Oh my God, it's
probably
so
hard to pick.
hard.
Or a crazy one. Crazy one's fine too.
A crazy, well, not necessarily. I mean, it's part of the transaction. And then actually, I thought about it yesterday because I was with the seller. I was with her. Right in the beginning, one of my first transactions ever. I don't even know why I didn't give up. They were moving. They had 3 under 3, so 3 little kids, and they had to sell in the morning to buy in the afternoon. So they needed that money, and they decided to call Craigslist for movers. They were not short on the money. They could have hired a regular company, but they thought they didn't. They were moving in the same neighborhood. So in their minds, it's just like 3 blocks away. They called a company, and then I lived in the same neighborhood. Again, one of my first clients, so it was someone I knew in the neighborhood. So I stopped by just to check on them, and this was the new house, so they were unloading the truck. When I got to the house, and I was lucky that I had my daughter with me, everybody was yelling, and the movers were threatening them.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and then my seller said, "Yeah, she said, yeah, they have a gun. They want more money. They are threatening us, asking for more money, and I'm not going to give it to them." And there's yelling, and the 3 under 3 right there. I think the baby girl was maybe 6 months. So I said, Nina, my daughter, I'm like, grab them. And I got the 3 kids. I put them in my car because I'm like, this is crazy.
Yes.
I called 911. I explained what was going on, but we took the 3 under 3 to my house. When I got home, my husband was watching, sports, and he's like, "Why are you
Who are these
bringing
children?
3 little kids to our house?" He's like, "Don't get involved. Like, this is a business." I'm like, "Oh my God, you just like."
Yeah,
It's
we're
me.
going to protect these babies.
Yes, I'm like, it's me. So if you think that this is going to be business,
Think
sorry.
again, buddy.
And it was super cute. The kids watching. He had the babies on his lap watching, football or whatever. But this was very crazy, very stressful.
How did that end up? I mean, did the police come? Like, what happened?
They were able, yes, the police came and they were able to basically kick the guys out. So they didn't have the final help, but it was...
They weren't getting extorted for more money, at least.
No. But it was
man.
pretty scary. And then she said there was a gun. It was terrifying. So I grabbed the kid, and even my daughter said, "Mom, we don't have a car seats or anything." I'm like, right now?
In the dangerous situation, that's the least of our worries.
The least, yes. I'm like, I'm going to
Hold on,
bring
Mr.
them.
Man. Put away your gun so I can get
me
these
get the-
car seats.
Is the car seat in your truck?
Have you unpacked the car
Yes.
seats?
I'm like, no, I'm going to drive 10 miles an hour. We're going to go home. Like, it's nothing. Driving is nothing compared to what's happening in this house right now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of crazy things, but that one, thankfully, I've never had to encounter anything like that. Hopefully never do. And that being one of your early transactions, and you didn't throw in the towel. Wow, that really says something about your tenacity of like, I'm gonna get through this.
I'm not a quitter.
Yep.
And not only that, I mean, this was one of my transactions. But when I started, I always say April is by coincidence, it is April. April is when I started, when I quit my job at the gym and I became a full-time real estate agent. In March, I was taking classes to learn how to, because real estate classes to take a license do not teach anything about the everyday life. So the firm I signed up with in the beginning, they had training. So I was doing this, still keeping my job. And I think in March, probably, it was still very cold. I had an open house. And it's crazy. I still do. I love hosting open houses.
Oh, really?
I do. Yeah, I love it. It's my thing.
That's so interesting because so many agents are like, I gotta sit in an open house.
I love it.
That's awesome.
It's my thing. But my very first one was a huge house on Lake Norman. and there was a basement, and I'm from Brazil. There's no basements in Brazil. So I told my husband, you're going to come with me.
You're going to make sure
You're
there's
going to go
nothing in
there,
that.
see if, Jason is waiting. You turn on the lights. And at the end of the open house, I didn't even drive. I said, you take me, you pick me up, and I'm not going to go to the basement. Like, there's no way. So he came, and I realized my very first open house, I realized that if we got busy, I wouldn't have time to go to the bathroom. Think about it. It was a vacant house, but a huge house on Lake Norman. And I decided to use the restroom. And there was no water. And this is, thank God I'm always early for everything. So I had 20 minutes, and I'm like, run to the gas station.
Yeah.
It was number 1.
Oh,
so
my
it was
goodness.
not
But still,
too
you're
bad.
stressed, you know.
And I'm like, run to the gas station, get water. So he had to, because if I was alone, I don't know what I would do.
Right.
And then I called the listing agent. I'm like, you should have told me that there's no water. Like, are the
And also,
sellers
your
that
clients
cheap?
know that they have to have it on for inspections and everything,
Yes.
right?
It was, I get it. The power was on. The house was very cold, so they pretty much had turned the heat off. So I was freezing
Yeah.
until it kind of got okay. But there was no water. And I'm like, why? Like, how cheap do you have to be to cut the water off a vacant house? Like $30 a month?
Yeah.
So he had to.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
I never gave up on open houses, and I still host.
Yeah.
I host
and now the
all
first
of
thing
my
you do
listings.
is check the water, right?
Yes. But I still host all my listings because I think there's no agent that knows more about a house than
you.
the listing agent.
Yeah.
So unless I'm sick or something, I am the one hosting all my listings, and I host for other agents. And people think it's crazy that I still do when I don't need to, but I love it.
It surprises me that you do it and that you like it. But yet another thing that is setting you apart, because it's really easy to get into the trap of like, oh, I've paid my dues. I don't have to do that stuff anymore. But if you find something that you're really good at and that you like doing, why do you have to stop? You don't.
I always say if it's busy, I like it because during an open house, I can be me. So people that come and start talking to me see what I am and see that if by any chance they've seen me on Instagram, they see it's the same person. And I think it makes me happy to know people are, so either they're going to like me and hire me, or they're not going to like me, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So, and if it's a quiet open house, or even, because you never know, some open houses, nobody comes, I catch up on work, and it's my quiet time.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a win-win there.
Yeah.
I like what you said about not everybody's going to like me, and that's okay. You know who your ideal client is and who you like working with best, and those people are going to like you and work with you. And if you don't mesh, then it's going to be a miserable transaction anyway.
Yes. I think
life's too short.
In life in general, we don't know it. Sometimes we don't know why you don't click with someone. It's just part of life. I remember my daughter when she was younger, someone didn't like her in school. I'm like, look, it's okay. You don't like everyone in school. Not everyone will like you. And it's the same with me. And I'm okay with that. You have to be polite. You have to be respectful. But sometimes, you don't match, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I know some people need, for whatever reason, they might need a more, as you said, like the attorney suit and stuff. So some people will like someone that is a little more, Netflix-like.
Yeah, and that's fine.
And
They'll
it's
go
fine.
find that
Some
person.
people like people that are super laid back and it's fine. Some people will like me, and that's fine. I'll be here.
Yeah.
I'll be here waiting to help.
Yeah, that's such a good lesson to learn in life, and one that, being in my mid-30s, I feel like maybe the last 5 years, really even last year, is when that started to click for me, because I spent so much of my teens, early 20s, late 20s wanting to be liked and doing trying so hard to fit myself into the box so that people would like me. And then when they didn't, it felt like a personal failure. And now I'm understanding it's just not everybody's going to like you. And that is okay. It doesn't mean that you have failed at something. And it's also something that I think about in real estate in these transactions, that I said it on a podcast like a week or two ago that if everybody likes you all the time, that means you may not be upholding your duties. Because sometimes it requires you to say the hard thing and the thing that people don't like. And if you're not willing to say it, then you might be falling short of your job. So it's been an interesting, I hate to say the word journey. I feel like that's so overused, but an interesting lesson to start to internalize that it's okay if not everybody likes me. That's fine.
And the thing, again, that I told and you have now maybe the awareness that you don't like everyone. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Just be respectful, but you're not going to like everyone at work, even in your family. You don't like everyone. So it's okay. And I'll attract those people that like me. I am a little bossy sometimes. And I joke, I'm like, I'm not bossy. I care too much. Yeah. Because I've had situations and clients kind of like, should I buy? Should I not? And when I believe it's the right moment and the right house, I will let you know. I'm like, I know it's your decision, but I think this is perfect because of all the conversations we had, because of the budget, because of everything I know, this is the one. So if you don't want it, it's fine. But I think you're making a mistake.
That's the kind of feedback that I personally, and my husband and I think we're really aligned on this. We love that kind of person to work with. We seek out agents or other professionals because we are not the expert in that thing. So when I'm coming to you and I'm hiring you because you're the expert in that thing, and then you don't behave like an expert and you just say, oh, whatever you want, or, yep, you want to list it at that price, great. I'd lose respect because I'm like, well, I don't know why to price it that way. I don't know why to manage my money this way. That's why I'm coming to you. Don't just capitulate to me. Tell me what you believe based on your knowledge and experience, that's the reason why we're willing to pay you for it. So I that fires me up. I love that, just the being willing to say, hey, you hired me for a reason.
For a reason.
I've got the skills here. I've got the knowledge, and I'm not going to steer you in a direction that's going to put you in a bad spot. And I think clients should be more receptive to that.
I think in my case, most are, but I think it's because I am clear from the beginning. I'm not mean or anything, but I'm not I'll do whatever you want. And I'm like, I'm here to help you.
You want to list it 100,000 too high? Sure. We can let it.
I got to a point, which is great, that I've lost listings, or I didn't accept to list a house because of that. Because the sellers are like, I'm your boss. I'm like, not yet. We are talking, and your house is not worth $600,000, and it's my name, so it's not going to sell because you're wrong. I don't, and I lost, people that come and say yes, I'll make it happen, and then of course, because I'm human and I can see everything, I watched that house sit on the market and then sell for whatever I had said right in the beginning. And I think, okay, so because you wanted a people pleaser, your house, you kept paying mortgage, taxes, insurance, HOA, everything else. So you spent an extra 10, 15, 20,000 waiting for the house to sell in 5 months when you could have sold very quickly, and even maybe for more.
Yeah.
So I am to the point that I'm like, I'm sorry. Thank you for
we're not going to align on this,
but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, that's good. And like you said, it's your name, and when you develop a reputation among your peers for just being the, lack of a better term, yes, man, whatever you want client, then that also gets the reputation of they're going to be a nightmare to negotiate with, because they're not going to educate their client. And, maybe the client does need to agree to the seller needs to agree to some repairs, but they got this thing listed way too high. We already know what we're in for. And I think as a seller, when you're interviewing agents, that if it would be a red flag to me if someone just said, oh, you're thinking this? Sure. Why not? Tell me why. Let me know why we should price it the way it is. Show me what the market's actually doing. Don't just do what I say. But I know that there are people out there that are like, no, you're just going to do what I say. And I don't want to work with the agents like that.
I know. I've been lucky that most do respect what we do or what I do. They know me. So they know when I come it's going to be as, of course, do mistakes happen sometimes. Sometimes you think the house will sell very quickly. It doesn't. The market talks to you, but I never overprice. And I tell right from the beginning, I'm like, this is the price that I believe for real. I'm not trying to get the listing. I'm not going to say what you want to hear to get the listing. So this is me saying, this is the number I believe we're going to sell for.
Yeah.
May I be wrong? Yes. But I try my very best to be as correct as possible.
And the thing is, it's like, if nobody's perfect, so there are going to be times where we're all wrong, but it's about being wrong with some conviction and some research behind it.
Yes.
You know, if you've done your homework, you may still end up wrong. You might get the wrong answer on the test, but having done all your homework. But that's a lot better than not having done the homework.
Exactly.
And then you're going to be so far wrong that it's like,
I could never do it. I could never be the one. It's frustrating when I lose the listing. I mean, it's happened maybe 3 times. And then karma came. I saw the house sit on the market.
a little bit of swift retribution.
I'm like, yay. And sometimes I feel like calling. I'm like, do you remember? Of course, I'll never do, but I feel like, do you remember the conversation? Okay, bye.
I told you so. It feels so good in that moment.
So inside, I'm like, I told you so. But of course, I'm not going to talk to the client.
You know, another thing that I don't know that I realized this until recently is that you co-host a radio show.
Yes.
That is so fun. How did you get into that?
Well, I was tricked into it, to be honest. So Mamie, she's the producer, but she's also a co-host in the morning show on the radio. And she's my client and my friend. And actually, I have a very cute story that we told on the radio show with her. But anyway, and one day she's like, hey, Justin has a radio show once a week about real estate, and we are inviting realtors every week. Would you come? I'm like, sure. You know, why not? And I did. A few days later, she's like, would you like to have lunch with us? I'm like, okay. And then they took me to Easy's. I never know how to say because it's my favorite restaurant.
Yeah.
And when we got there, she's like, well, actually, we've been...
It's a proposal of sorts.
Kind of, yes. They were bribing me with sushi. And
it's a good way to do it.
I know. It worked. But she said, actually, we've been having hosts or guest hosts for a while now because we wanted someone we really liked that had the knowledge, the charisma,
Yes.
whatever they were looking for. And it's been happening for a few months, and you're the one. So would you like to do it every week? And
that is so cool.
And when it happened, I was probably working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was
It's a hard thing
exhausted
to commit to.
because people don't know, but this is before the radio show. Because I think many people don't realize how much work we do behind the scenes. So,
Well, and especially the way that you specifically do
I
it.
am very hands-on. And I don't even know why I said yes, because I was exhausted, happy, but exhausted. And I said, sure, let's. So now I have a weekly show.
Yeah,
We
that
stream
is
live.
awesome.
Yes.
Well,
And
and,
I'm
you, and
having
you have
a
a
lot of
great
fun.
co-host too. I mean, the
Yes.
knowledge that he has, like, really, it's kind of like a dynamic duo. I mean, just like, I need to carve out time to make sure I listen to the show because I'm a consumer of knowledge. I like to give it. I like to hear it. I like to hear what's going on in the market. And just like, 2 heavy hitters on that show that like, you're looking at it from multiple different angles. Of course, the legal side with Justin, and then you have all of the market knowledge. And he, of course, has more than just the legal knowledge, but that's a really unique thing about him that he can bring that to the table. And I think it's so cool that, you kind of, I hear what you're saying, have kind of got tricked. They were interviewing you for the job that
And
you
I had
didn't
no
know
idea.
that you never applied for.
Yes. And I had last year, I had the professional video being made. I thought it was a good idea to grow my reach. And even though, they were great, but I felt during I think we did it for maybe 6 months. I'm like, I can't. I want to be real.
Yeah.
And I know you're not making me not be real, but it feels like it's
A little bit like putting you in a box. Yeah.
Yes. I'm like,
That's why most of our content now is this conversational
Yes.
stuff. Like, I'm happy to take a topic and educate on it for, however long we need to. But like, we don't, we just can't do the scripted stuff. Like
Yes. And I never, since the beginning, I'm like, I don't want to script it. So yes, we're going to talk about certain points. Educate was my main thing. But because I knew that he wanted me to turn my, I'm like, I'm not happy. I don't want to do it anymore. So, and I had marketing people come to me, like clients that I have that work with marketing, say, you know, it's nice. It looks awesome. But what I love, it's your stories when you're driving and talking to us, because it's you, the real one that I know, educating or telling a funny story, whatever happening to your day. But because the show is live, so if I make a mistake, I make a mistake.
Yeah.
Justin is constantly trying to put me on the spot.
Yeah.
We don't rehearse. We sometimes, of course, we're going to say, hey, we have guests and you're coming shortly.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
And, but you know, we have it, like I had a organizing company come this past Monday. So of course we're like, okay, we're going to talk about organizing, moving, but nothing is scripted. Many times he has secret things waiting for me.
Oh, that's
so he puts
funny.
me on the spot, and I love it because, again, it's me being real. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. One of the days I kind of started crying, and it was all me. So I like it. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
But I did hire an assistant.
Yeah.
Finally.
I'm in process of that right now too.
I'm a control freak, and I had tried transaction coordinators to help. I couldn't, but now I was at a point that I needed, because I was working 10, 12, 14 hours, 7 days a week, and I needed my life back.
That was me right after Ben passed away, because our volume continued going up right after that. When he passed away in March 2021, and that week we had, I think, like 48 closings on the calendar. So he passed away on a Saturday. Monday I get there and we had 16. We got them all done. Nobody delayed. We didn't have to reschedule a single person. So it was like a little bit of a blur. But what I did recognize immediately is I had to have an assistant or I wasn't going to make it. So shout out Allison Eichelberger, now Peterson, just got married. She came in and just, like, she's moved on to, that was like her first office job, and it set her up to just keep climbing the ranks. So she works somewhere else now. But like, it was life-changing for me, especially in that time of just crazy. And a good assistant will change your life.
We are transitioning. I mean, he's been great. I remember the first day when
it's hard to let go.
It is. I am a very type A kind of thing. And the first day when he sent me an email just checking, and it said Team Claudia, I'm like, I'm fancy now.
Yeah.
I have a team. But yeah, he is beginning to help me in the background, because I want to be the agent with the client.
Yeah.
I know that many agents start growing and then they have a showing agent, and I don't want to do that. It's me. I always say, if people are hiring me, either because they are referred, like my past clients come back to me, they refer me, or people that see me on Instagram and want to hire me. I'm like, I don't want them to hire what they see, and then someone else shows up. I'm like, I work with Claudia. So for me, I don't need to be huge. I'm very happy. Of course, I want to grow, but I want to be with the clients.
Doing it the way that you want to do it.
Yes.
You know, that's, and it's interesting. You talk about that so respectfully too, because what you haven't said, but that I hear is like, you don't fault anybody for doing it that way. That's not the way you want to do it, and you're not going to. You have to treat this profession in a way that's authentic to you, or else what's the point of doing it? And you're setting up systems and getting the help that you need so that you can continue to do that at a high level and with more transactions, and that's amazing.
Yes, I had a coach once try to get me, and he said, "Do you mind? Is it?" Because I told him that I'm like, I want to be with the clients. I go to every single inspection. I go to every single closing, unless, again, I'm on vacation.
Extenuating.
Rare occasions, but I'm always, every step of the way, I'm always with the clients. And he said, why? Hire someone. And I gave him, I'm like, they hire me, and I want them to see me and talk to me and count on me. And he said, do you mind if, the car you drive was not actually made by the original factory owner? I'm like, you are comparing.
That's different. You also know that going into it. Yeah. You know that when you go buy a BMW, that the original creator BMW is not making your car.
Yes, I'm like,
it's not a good comparison.
You're talking about a thing, and a service. Like they need the person because this is a major event in anyone's life. Buying, selling, it's a huge thing, and it's scary for a lot of people.
Well, it's kind of like a therapist, you know? Like if you go to a therapist because you're a good fit, but then they suddenly bring in someone else, you know?
And I see, and I love that. I love it. I see the trust the whole relationship and the trust my clients have, because they, years after the transaction finished, I mean, we do keep in touch, but they text me to say sometimes that they are pregnant, that they got a job promotion. I have clients ask me to review if they are being interviewed for a job. They say, can you review the email? What would you say? Everything, all kinds of rent, not
That's
only
cool.
house. It's not only.
You're an advisor to them.
So they do ask me about colors for the wall or tile. Can you come with me and help me choose tile? Yes, I love it. But they also talk to me about their lives, asking for advice or just to tell me the news. And I do get awesome news sometimes, and I do get bad ones. But the fact that they come to me because they know I'm going to listen is something, there's no price.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I honestly don't know of any better way to sum up you and what makes you special, and why that's why you had a great 2023 and why 2024 is going to be even better right there. And like just to the legacy too that you're leaving of like all these lives that you're touching, like the web, you're just, it's not just the house. It's so much more than that. And you know what? I think that was so touching to me. I want to leave it right there. Like, I don't know how we could end it on a better note. Again, I want to thank you so much, Claudia, for your time, for coming today. I really enjoyed this conversation. And it's just so exciting and refreshing to see someone with your approach to real estate. And one thing I know is that you're not going to change. And that's good. I was going to tell you never change, but you're not going to. This is you, and this is how you do things. And I'm just really excited to see where you go from here, too.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thanks. And I'll see you in May.
Yeah.